Welcome to the BSC Filofax, real conversations with real people from within the club. I'm your host Ryan, and each week we will speak to one of our incredible members. We will dive into their story, into their life, into their business, and find out how it all ties in with BSC. Let's get to work.
And a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Man, there's the idea.
Stephen, tell me a wee bit about yourself, who you are. Tell not so much me, I know who you are and what you do, but tell everybody else who you are, what you do.
So, my name's Stephen Laughlin there. I own a garage in Mollusk called Beyond Performance 4x4. We are Land Rover Range Rover specialists. I am a father of two kids, Ethan and Ava. We live in the local area just towards Temple Patrick there. It keep me very, very busy. I come to BSC 3 times a week, try to get it running once a week as well. And yeah, love coming here and really enjoy it.
Cool. Tell me about your working week. What does your normal working week look like as it is right now?
So my normal working week there, Ryan, would look something like Monday to Thursday. I don't apologise for sort of working 8 o'clock to maybe 10 o'clock at night, so I would there. I would generally go to the business, we would be working in the business then, and then come to BSC 2 or 3 nights a week, as I say. Come home, always have dinner with the family, with the kids there, so I do. I spend a wee bit of time with them, and then I go upstairs and start doing a little bit more work for generally the group that I run. So, you know, that's what works for me. Now, come Friday, because that seems to be quite a trade-off there, so it does, to actually, you know, spend those kind of hours there. Come Friday, 5 o'clock, it's like a light switch there. I'm straight in the family mode there. Usually I'm heading up to Portrush, so can't wait. And up to Portrush, have a nice night on Friday, maybe go out for a bite to eat. Saturday morning and all day Saturday with the kids, the family, having fun, doing something. I try to fit as much into the weekends as possible. Really just sort of push them. Sunday mornings there, my family like to sort of rest, chill, take it easy, get up late, and I'll get out for a run or spend a wee bit of me time. Sunday, again, family time, and then Sunday evening, after dinner, I'll start getting into a wee bit of planning there, and that's kind of where my week goes then, so it is.
Back and hit the ground running on Monday morning?
Yeah, I believe, 15 minutes planning on Sunday night makes such a difference to how your week goes. There's so many things hit you sideways in life, isn't there? Day to day, and even with planning, sometimes it still hit you sideways, but that's what works for me.
That sounds obviously like a perfect life, or a perfect balance of a life. Although challenging, but it sounds like you've got a good balance there. But obviously it won't have always been like that, because nothing that ever has finished good has always started like that. There's always stress and sacrifice along the way. What I want to do is take you back to how you started off. But take it back to even when you were in school and then sort of leaving school and things like that. So tell me a wee bit more about your career and how you've built it through there.
So, grew up in Glengormley. I went to Glengormley Primary, then Glengormley High. At Glengormley High, not so much the school at all. It wouldn't matter what school it was. School wasn't for me. I had intelligence. I could listen in class there, but I just wasn't interested in the slightest. I actually found it hard to listen in class. I was probably more interested in buying and selling dinner tickets off the smokers, and then selling to other people for money and making money that way. That was what my focus was. So school to me was just something I had to get through. My family have always had an engineering background, so that's kind of where I wouldn't say channeled, because my mum and dad, whatever I wanted to do, I could do. But certainly I went and got into both shorts, got into the shipyard, and had another offer. At that time, I was more interested in the shipyard, did a 3-year apprenticeship there. Really, really enjoyed that. I believe that apprenticeship made me take me from being a boy to a man. I really do believe that. It gave me a short, sharp shock, if you like there. I knew it wasn't for me, for sure. It was colder inside the ship, which acts as a refrigerator, than it was outside the ship. So I seen an advert for a degree in automotive engineering one day. And I said, what? I love cars here. I can literally go study this and then become a car designer. Happy days. So left there, did a national diploma in engineering, which is kind of like 2 A levels, and did my degree.
What age were you when you left the shipyard?
So I left the shipyard one day after my apprenticeship finished. They didn't like that too much there, for sure, after putting that kind of money into me. I would have been about 19 and a half, 20. So I would have. and made that decision. And that was tough because I was going back there and you don't have any income anymore. So I worked part-time jobs, whatnot. Did a degree, worked for Nissan, and awesome training. They taught you stuff like Kaizen and, and just in time and all these here management principles. But I always thought the grass was greener on the other side in England. Always wanted to go to England, thought it'd be better than over here, even though I had a great life over here. And I quickly realized it wasn't. Did my degree, worked for Nissan, and it became very apparent that I was going to bring my then girlfriend, who's my now wife, over there. And the Japanese way of working is to, if I'd want to get ahead, you'd be working. They brought their Japanese managers over.
Yeah.
You'd be working to 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Came back over here and I started doing a course in Belfast Met. Belfast, then I got the highest results in the whole of UK for law, believe it or not, of all things. And I'd like to talk maybe a wee bit about that if we get round about, finding what it is you're interested in and how you can exceed at that. So that got me into teaching. I did 18 years of teaching in Belfast Met as a motor vehicle lecturer. And for the last 14 years of that there, I built the business Beyond Performance 4x4. So that's kind of what led me to that,
Were you running those two side by side for a period of time?
Yeah, I was running those two side by side for 14 years. So it was.
Really?
It was, sometimes you get in these things here. Sometimes you get in these things here and you don't realize just what you're taking on, but it's like the mafia once you're in, you can't get out type of thing, but it's kind of paid off now. But going back to school there and selling those dinner tickets, I didn't realize, but I've been in love with trade all my life. And what I mean by trade there is that I love the process of buying and selling. Buying at X and selling at Y. Buying at X, adding value and providing your customer with that solution and selling at Y. It's not technically about the amount of money I make. It's just about the process. I really enjoy
the feeling of the trade and the added value.
And trying to give a customer that solution that they're looking for and trying to make that experience even better for them so they're walking away happy. It just seems to work better. So that's in primary school there, that was what I learned there, buying and selling. Then I started buying and selling cars. And that
what age were you when you were buying and selling cars?
Buying and selling cars. I've been buying and selling cars from the age of 19. So I was.
Okay.
So I kind of did that while I was in
since
college.
You came out of the shipyard?
I always did that. And even when I came back from university, I would have done that during the summer. And then I got a German Shepherd. And this is the strangest story. I got a German Shepherd.
Where this is going.
Yeah. So a German Shepherd helped set my business up. Basically what happened was that at the German Shepherd, I needed something to move the dog about. And I started buying Land Rovers. I worked out I was very good at selling Land Rovers, and I started doing more and more and more to the point where I went, do you know what? I had to travel all the way over to the other side of, in the county down to get what I needed for the parts and stuff. There's obviously a business here, and that's when I set Beyond Performance up there, But yeah, as I say, I've always been in love with that whole process of serving customers, and one of the big plus sides is the benefits financially for it, the output,
You said you started selling parts. Is that how Beyond Land Rover sort of came about then? So how long were you selling parts before then you decided to expand your services?
Yeah. So we went into selling parts from the very start there, actually just from a building probably 500 meters away from here. The parts from the outset was making a loss, no doubt about it. I didn't do my research. I didn't do my research. It was just, when you start a business, you can do all the business plans you want, but you still don't know. So you don't, it's just sort of, hopefully that's the way it is, even with the research. So I did the parts for about a year and a half, and I knew I was in a loss-making situation, which is a scary place because I did not have much cash flow at all. And we were always being asked, could we work in cars, which we could. I always had a store manager I put in place because obviously I was at the college. Yep. Who does that? Starts a business, then was doing something else. But anyway, that's the kind of things I do. We started a garage, and it's just flown. So it hasn't been straightforward. The trajectory's been sort of up, down, back, forward. But that's business.
When we're talking about your week now versus your week back then, what did your typical week look like 14 years prior, where you were working in the tech, you were lecturing during the day, and you were still running this other business on the side while still trying to grow the other business on the side and manage everything else? What would your typical week of work look like then?
It would have been similar. I'm not the kind of person, Ryan, who can ever sit about watching Coronation Street. To me, those hours in the evening, for some people, they want to relax and take it easy and watch Netflix. 100% fair play to you. For me, I just get, what else could I be doing with my time? So I was either buying and selling cars or setting the business up. The problem came, you cannot just start a garage like this and expect customers just to turn up wanting their cars fixed. We did have some business. So what I actually had to do was, plus I didn't have any technical staff to do it, I actually had to work sort of 9 to 5 in the college. And then I would come home, have dinner, see the family. And it was a young family too. And there was a trade-off for this, there's no doubt about it, Ryan. And then I went from sort of 6:30 to 10 or 11 at night. But quite often that could have been 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Rinse and repeat over and over. But it got us to where we need to be. You know?
I think that's a valuable and important part to talk about. When you're starting a business, or even if you're a few years into a business, it's still important to sort of realize. I think we feel like there should be this period quite soon on in the business where it's like we've made it type of a scenario. Yeah. But like you say, there's a trade-off. There's always a trade-off.
Yeah.
And I personally believe, and Claire and I sort of going through with the gym and everything else, trying to find the perfect balance doesn't really exist. I think what does exist is prioritizing, pivoting, and setting maybe work blocks and time blocks and things like that. Like, you have the perfect work time block at the minute, perfect for your life, where you do that Monday to Thursday, long hours. Friday you're cutting off halfway through, not halfway, but you're cutting off a wee bit earlier, and then you are locked in with the family over the weekend. And I can personally vouch that is the way you are. Trying to even get hold of you at the weekend is
not on a Saturday, never home.
But it's because it's the choice that you've made to give to them. But obviously earlier in your day, it's so much harder to do that, and you're pulled in a million different directions. And I think it's important to point out for anybody starting a new business, or anybody that's currently in business, that it is finding it hard with finding balance. The perfect balance probably will never exist, depending on the type of person that you are. But generally speaking, it probably will never exist. It's more about what you're okay to sacrifice for a period of time.
There's always opportunity cost with most things in life there. I actually hate the word work-life balance. To me, balance is getting things perfect, okay? I like work-life harmony. So at different stages in your life, if you're 25, maybe fitness is everything to you there at the minute, and maybe you haven't got dependents or children or whatever it may be. And then maybe when you're my age, then maybe you're trying to work towards setting the kids up or whatever. So in different stages of your life, that I believe in, and I try to live by a sort of 3-pillar approach, family, fitness, and finance. And I honestly believe, for me, if I can get those 3 things working relatively well, they all complement themselves. But as you said there's always an opportunity cost. If we're going to go away on holiday, it may be that I need to put more time into the business before I go, or maybe the business doesn't sell as much, although I have staff there to kind of look after that. There's always a trade-off. But for me, those 3 things there have allowed, and they weren't in there to start. That was chaos at the start. It was a nightmare. And Fiona, my wife, as she was speaking to you, she would be saying about, yes, Stephen was there doing blah, blah, blah. And I was looking after the kids. It wasn't easy. But over time, it gets easier, especially if you have staff that you can leverage, time there, and you don't need to be there all the time.
Building a good team.
Yeah.
I think the likes of that is invaluable. I think having a good team is invaluable, because it's not just from the financial input point to your business, but also the peace of mind that you get when you're actually not there, because then you can actually be not there. This year for us, because of the team that we've built with Jenny and Foxy, Claire and I have been able to go and travel and do so many more things with the gym members, different events and competitions and stuff, and also have holidays of our own, without even having to be concerned about, is everything okay at the gym? Is our business crumbling before, when we're away doing this? And the first few years of business, definitely for us, were a lot more difficult like that. It's about obviously handing over levels of control, which is probably the hardest thing, because like you were doing with your business, you're wearing all of the hats.
Yeah.
And I think it's important you still wear all of the hats, but just a smaller version of the hat, if that makes sense. Yeah. you should still know all of your numbers.
Yeah.
Even if you hand over control of your numbers to somebody else, it's still important for you to know your numbers.
Absolutely, so much.
It's important for you to know exactly what's going on within your business. You don't want somebody saying to you, "Oh, what about that thing that happened the other day?" and you know nothing about it. That's not really.
That's frightening.
That is frightening. So there's a letting go of control to a certain point, but it's just more of taking the tension out of the reins. Maybe that's maybe more to do with it.
There's an easy way to do that there, and so many businesses actually get it wrong. And I see it how you do it with the guys when you're away. You expect this gym to be a certain level of cleanliness. The stuff we put away at the end of the session or whatever it may be, just like, I would teach other garage owners, and ourselves, I expect the job cards to be written the same way. I expect each one of our customers when we walk through to be greeted the same way. I expect, the invoices to be done the same way. And by putting in the procedures there and spending quality time training the people, your staff there, if you put that time and effort in and excellence is expected always. I'm not saying like, crazy levels of it, but excellence as a whole, you'll find that when you're away, as long as, they're being treated well, they'll back you up when you're on holiday and you have less to worry about, and you're only a phone call away as well.
I think unless giving people a bit of freedom also and responsibility, because we all want responsibility.
Absolutely.
There's nobody really doesn't want any responsibility whatsoever.
Yeah.
We all want responsibility regardless of what level we're at within a business. So giving somebody a bit of freedom and responsibility and to do or take the initiative to do something, that's kind of you would encourage.
Yeah.
Unless the building is actually burning to the floor.
Yeah.
There's no real reason or something maybe, or if a situation arises, every situation should be you'll have dealt with before or even had a conversation with your team about before. So there's probably very little that's actually going to happen.
No, that's it. And as you say, just empowering people. I think sometimes people don't empower their staff enough, and when they are, it actually surprise you with what they can do.
Yeah.
This
is it. How many times are business owners the bottlenecks for the growth of their own business? I know I've been a bottleneck for still to this day, I'm a bottleneck for so many elements within our business. But again, it's that will come in time.
Yeah.
But you're always kind of going to be a bottleneck initially. It's because you care and because you hold yourself to a certain standard.
Absolutely.
So you hold everything to that standard. But sometimes that can be the bottleneck where it's if we're getting in merch and the merch isn't right, then you might never even get the merch in to sell in the first place.
Yeah.
Whereas that could be the bottleneck, whereas getting something in, and seeing how it goes, and if it goes well, then do more of it or improve on the next one.
Yeah.
And that's probably the better way forward. Whereas if you're just when you're trying to keep that standard high, it's hard not to be the bottleneck within your business.
Yeah, and it's all feedback at the end of the day. Whether it's positive or negative, you're learning from it, and then taking it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Leaning a wee bit more into what you were talking about, regarding school, and how you felt like school wasn't for you, but you still went on to be a lecturer. Lean a wee bit more into that for me, because I know it's something you feel quite passionate about. We've had conversations about this before.
Massively passionate about there. When I was at school there, it was very much read and write. And it was very much, you were measured on what percentage you got out of 100 or whatever it may be. And I actually took that through, left school, all right, GCSEs, went into the shipyard, learned the trade and the skills and that type of thing. And when I went to university, I was bricking it going to university. Here I am with these wonder kids who have got A levels, I had equivalent to them, but, to me, they were going to be mega intelligent. University, I was the first person in our family of four at that stage, to go to university. So I'm thinking these are wonder kids here. And I went to university, and very, very quickly, yes, maths was tough enough there because I didn't really listen to school too much. And thermodynamics is hard for anybody. But then we came to design and CAD and manufacturing. And all of a sudden I start seeing everybody coming over, Stephen, how do we do this here? How do we design this here? What would happen if you do this? And I'm starting to go, hold on a minute. intelligence and capability isn't just academically measured. There's so many, and literally it took me to the age of, let's say 21, 22 to realize that I had a high level of intelligence or a higher level of intelligence. That's terrible. So anyway, fast forward there, I came back from England after doing my degree with the experience that I had. And as I say, I started lecturing for Belfast Met because I'd done very well in some qualifications I'd done with Belfast Met. It started off there, I did 3 hours lecturing for them, then 8, then 24 within 3 weeks. And after that there, and for anybody that doesn't know, part-time lecturing can be pretty profitable, so it can. So that's how, then they offered me the full-time job. I turned it down twice because I had my own stuff going on in the background, and then took the full-time position and then ended up there for 18 years. Did not want to leave, as you know, but the business had grown to such a size that it needed me to come along, and financially the business was providing a far, far bigger income than lecturing ever would have, even with pensions and stuff like that. So I left. I took a career break of 2 years, kind of knowing that I wasn't going back, and I miss it to this day. Yeah. And as you know, I've got the Garage Owners Growth Group, where I do have a group where I train people on
That's, I suppose that is scratching that itch.
That's scratching that itch for me there. So it is. And training is what actually I love doing. That's, if I could, that's what I would be doing. Yeah. But coming back to, anybody watching this podcast, please, and I know schools have changed. We were talking, earlier on this morning about how there's so many different courses rather than maths, French, history, etc. Yeah. If your child doesn't understand or doesn't know, make sure that they do understand that, that there's so many other areas that if they're not into maths and, Latin or whatever, that your child can investigate and have great careers at. Some of the most, I know so many guys and girls there who have got, in trades with 3 or 4 or 10 people working for them, absolutely flying, who love what they do. I just think, every time I've lectured, a new class, I've always, or left the class, at the end, I've always made sure they understand that there's, that your GCSE results or A levels don't define you. So they don't, it's very important that.
I can see a lot with my kids. Elle, she's our middle child. She is 4th year next year, so she had to pick her subjects last year. And there's the variation in subjects compared to when we were at school. It's very, very different. But I always try and encourage the kids, just lean into the things that you're good at. Yeah. And you don't even need to know. I know personally with me, I was at least 30 before I started developing a real passion and a real interest towards anything I was doing. Yeah. So before that, and bear in mind, by the time I was 30, I'd been doing bathroom renovations and plumbing from I was 16. Yeah. So there's 14 years before I really started getting actually passionate about doing bathroom renovations and doing them to extremely high standard and taking real ownership of the skills and the quality of the work and everything.
That's amazing.
But 30. So that's a long way from 16.
Yeah. It's a male trait, so it is there, just to sort of 100%. Develop later.
I think females definitely would develop and mature a lot sooner. Yeah. But even at that, if the age for that to happen for females would be 21, I mean that's still 5 years past when they finish school. Yeah. I think school is a great tool, and if you are academic and you can withstand school right the way through to you finish university, it just buys you lots of time to then decide what it is you want to do, because then by that stage you are maybe 21. Yeah. If you just can't wait to leave when you're 16, for example, you're thrown out into the world, and even at that stage, just try different things. Nothing needs to be, like I said, I was by the time we opened the gym, we opened it 3 years ago, so I'm 39. I was 36 by the time I started into this business, which is everything to me, and is just this thing that Claire and I are both so passionate and driven for.
And that shows. It's amazing.
But 36, do you know what I mean? That's 20 years after I left school. So use your time to, yes, make money, because you need to make money to live and survive. You can't not make money, but do things that you love doing, and don't stick through something because that was the path that was carved out for you by other people. Try new things, and there's so much more opportunity. The internet, the internet has opened up a world of opportunity for anybody. You can do whatever you want to do.
There's such an opportunity, as you say there. When I was 19, I was thinking about this the other day, the internet had just come in. You used to type in things like, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? Honestly, I hadn't seen the YouTube videos.
I still type that.
You didn't see the kids in America doing this or the kids in France doing this, or you didn't even know what's out there. Now the kids now have access to see what's going on in Monaco and all the nice cars, and that brings its own pressures, by the way. There, it definitely does. But as you say, and especially with AI coming in, don't know if you're aware or not, they actually believe that people are going to go through lifelong learning now, where you maybe went to university and maybe that was the end of your study, because AI will come in and take over different bits and pieces, or you will kind of need to continue bringing yourself up to speed in different areas, because where maybe someone had X job or X amount of jobs in their lifetime, that's going to change. It could be a lot of different jobs there.
Yeah.
But as long as you get that path, and as you say, don't be afraid to try things there.
I think the pressure generally comes with responsibility. So like when you have kids, when you have a mortgage, when you have like that's when people, I feel, really get stuck, because it's scary to take a risk, because I need to pay this and I need to pay that, and you've got the pressures of maybe your partner who like needs that security, and like both of you end up in careers and jobs that you don't particularly like, and that will then cross over to your kids, who then will do things that they don't particularly like, because that's kind of what they've seen growing up. I think it's important to like teach our kids that they can actually be wherever they want to be, and they can do whatever they want to do. And if it fails, like, kind of good, because you'll learn, and then you move on to the next thing, and you learn.
Fail fast, you learn from it and move on. As you say, there's, the past there was that expectation, you went through that sort of career path, whether it be, university and got a good job, and then, got married, had a baby and whatnot there. The times have changed, and even what young people are, they're not even maybe chasing having a boyfriend or girlfriend. They're maybe not exclusive, whatever it is. And I think that's cool, just the way they go about doing what they want to do. But certainly just try different things, as you say. As a dad, how I can help my son and daughter do that is to help them financially.
Yep.
I don't mean you're giving them money, because but actually saying, listen, why not try this out and see how it goes? I'll back that for X amount, or I look after you for the next 3 or 4 months there, or give that a go, see where you're going. There's different things you could do, but now that's the kind of thing that's apparent to me that I'm starting to look at for our kids. How can I give them that opportunity that maybe you and I never had, because we need to make money straight away?
Steve, we're going to finish this podcast the same way we're going to finish every single podcast. In the BSC Filofax, there's going to be your name, the nature of your business, and your phone number and email. There's also going to be a wee section for a note underneath, a note that you can leave that will be read by somebody else.
Sounds good.
What note would you leave for somebody else? What piece of advice, business life, otherwise, would you leave for somebody else to read under your name?
What lesson has life taught you that you can train other people to avoid?
Passing on the knowledge.
Passing on the knowledge. That's what I'm always about there. I love training. I see the benefit of it. I don't think passing on your knowledge is ever a threat to others. It's not, What lesson has life taught you that you can help someone else avoid an issue down the line?
Brilliant.
Cool.
Thanks, Steve.
I enjoyed it.
A little bit of that, a little bit of this. Bam, there's the idea.